Hello and welcome. I am in conversation today with a very brilliant award-winning writer wearing many hats, Kshitij Patwardhan. He is an Indian screenwriter, theatre director, playwright, writer, publisher and lyricist. His work includes critically acclaimed, commercially successful and culturally significant films like Classmates, Double Seat, Time Please, YZ, Faster Fene and Dhurala. He has a long list of awards to his credit. Hello, Kshitij.
Hi.
Welcome to the show Language Talks.
Thank you.
I would like to start by congratulating you on your maiden Hindi poetry book, Aadhi Neend, Aadha Khwab. Please tell us more about it.
So, first of all, thank you for letting me join this conversation. And Aadhi Neend, Aadha Khwab is my maiden Hindi poetry book. And this book is basically about 17 Western Line stations of Mumbai, of Western suburbs, and ranging from Churchgate to Virar. And of all those suburbs where I have lived, I have observed life, and I've collected numerous moments. So it's basically a collage of those moments. And it took me around 9 to 10 years to completely write that book. And I'm very glad that the first edition is sold out before even the launch.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I think there is no magic tool for poetry. I think it's simply you have to have a compassionate heart first of all, and that's the most essential thing a poet should possess. So I always categorize it in three things. One is compassion, out of which you can look at the world in a more compassionate way, more considerate way. That is compassion. Second is curiosity. You have to have curiosity. It gives you a different perspective towards things, and it makes life much more enjoyable, much more interesting if you become curious about it. So first is compassionate, second is curious, and third is creative. So when you see life through a compassionate lens or through a curious lens, automatically it turns you into a creative person.
Wow, it's a nice recipe for a poet.
Yeah. So that's how I have worked, and I have been working for last 10-11 years. But I think that's more of a kind of combination of curiosity and compassionate attitude, and that has really instigated my creativity.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Kshitij, you're one of the most versatile lyricists in Marathi, Hindi, and maybe English later. So you've penned lyrics for more than 30 films. So did you teach yourself this craft, or how did you learn, or who taught you?
Yeah, so by the end of February 2022, I'll be completing my 52 films as a lyricist. And Jimma, the recent release in Marathi, which did wonderfully well. So that was my latest release as a lyricist. And basically, writing on a tune is a totally different craft. And you have to get hold of the meter, the phonetics of it, and much before that you have to understand the feeling of words, the feeling of situation. Then it inspires you to write very promptly, very aptly, phonetically write kind of lyrics, kind of poetry. And sometimes you have to understand what the director wants to say. What the writer wants to say through the situation, because I myself am a writer, so I can very well understand that there is a screenplay going on in a song also. So every song has a poetic screenplay. If you start a song with one note, you know that by the end of it you are going towards a certain conclusion, certain resolution through the song, and that is the screenplay of the song. So you have to achieve the screenplay of the song. I'll just shift to Hindi for a song. That if you take any song, आप कोई भी गाना अगर ले लेते हो, तो शुरुआत में एक लफ्ज होता है, एक चीज होती है, and through progression you know कि this thing is now converting into like hero and heroine meeting for the first time, and it is getting converted into love. That is also a screenplay. So you have to write a poetic screenplay over it, and that's how I look at songwriting, and it's a craft. I think first of all, it's an intuition. You have to write very intuitively, because words come to you. After that, you have to fit those words, those ideas into a craft. Like if you get a tune from a director which is like na 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 na, then you have to end the note on a word which is a, which is ending with a.
Okay.
That's the phonetic of it. You can't end the word like e or u. So you have to write accordingly, and for that you have to have a good knowledge of phonetics and grammar also. Because sometimes people think that writing is very easy and you just have to make rhymes and all, and you have to just use slang language, but that's not true at all. So I think it's very important that you first understand the language, its phonetics, its structure, its grammar, and then you will be able to break the rules.
Okay.
So I think that's very important for a lyricist.
And you received this National Creative Excellence Award twice.
Yeah.
So and you wrote for female feticide issues. So this is a completely genre that you have handled. Am I right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us about it?
Actually, this was during my advertising days. I was working with an agency called Setu. It's like my second home. It was in Pune. So I worked as a intern copywriter there for starting, and then slowly I became the copywriter. And through that journey, I've always been proactive in my journey. So I used to take part in competitions on myself only. Every time I used to take part in competitions which are not people are not interested in, and people are saying that what maximum what will happen, we will win, or we don't know about that competition, it's a Mumbai based competition, it's a national competition, nobody is going to entertain us. So there are always naysayers, but thankfully the agency which I worked in, it was surrounded by people who were very, very passionate, very, very insightful, and very, very cooperative. So I was very, very young at that time. I was 22. So most of my seniors were very helpful, and we created this campaign basically to fight the issue of female feticide. And we were the first agency from Pune who won that award, that is National Creative Excellence Award for social change, and it was given by United Nations Population Fund. Wow. So that was an incredible thing. And the most important thing out of that campaign which I learned is that United Nations Population Fund used that campaign to promote the issue, to make people aware about the issue. So that was a great thing, that your work is basically making a social difference.
Correct.
Yeah.
Such an important contribution.
True. Yeah.
You won the screenplay award for Faster Fene.
Yeah.
So that became very famous, and the books are also famous. So was it based on the Marathi books of Bhara?
Yeah. So I always, as a writer, I always want good characters to remain in people's memory forever. And Faster Fene is one such character that the people who are in their in their 40s or 50s, it's their childhood hero. And we see now the generation is totally surrounded by Spider-Mans and Supermans and Marvel Universe and DC Universe. And they are saying that we don't have our own superhero, we don't have our own detective, our own Sherlock Holmes. So me and Aditya, the director of the film, we came up with the idea ki why not we can come up with a superhero, or we can come up with a detective who is very, very likable, who is a boy next door, who has an extraordinary ability to sense things which are normal to which are very, very routine to the normal people. And out of that curiosity, compassion, the creativity came out, and we started working on it. And it was, if we can say that, it was India's first successful teenage detective film.
Oh yes, successful also is important.
Yeah, successful teenage detective film. And right now I'm working on its sequel.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And for that, I have done 2 courses of forensic sciences. Singapore University, and the second is from, I guess, Sweden or Switzerland University. Both courses are online, and they are basically introduction to forensic science. So I want to take the game a notch higher this time.
Okay. Yeah. How much research matters to you? How important is it for you, for your writing text?
No, I think research is a very, very fundamental and very, very important thing. Because without research, your assumptions, your conclusion becomes your assumptions without research. So if you want to state anything, if you want to tell people anything, if you want to tell a story or convince people about something, then the first thing is you have to know 100% about it. So you can't take a touristy approach towards everything. I think that's very important, that you get to know everything of that subject. Like when we did Faster Fene, we did a comprehensive research of 25 kids who were in the age group of 16 to 20.
I see.
And it's because of those kids we got to know that the main problem these kids are facing, it's not else, it's education, the donations in education, the malpractices in education. And that's the topic which is very, very close to the parents and teachers and students all over India. Okay. So because of the research, because of the comprehensive research, we were able to understand the gravity of the situation. We got to know the grassroots of the issue, and the most important thing is the characters around it. Like, okay, we got an agent's character, we got a henchman's character, a politician's character, and sometimes you feel that these characters are are drawn in a very broad stroke. Like if you see a police inspector has to have a swag or lathi, a politician has to be corrupt. So there is a prototype of characters which we really wanted to break. And that research really helped us a lot.
What is the most difficult part of this artistic process?
Okay, let me tell you, first of all, this is my first English interview. So I am a little bit nervous because English is slightly difficult to gather words and to pronounce. Marathi is my first language. Hindi, I love to talk in Hindi. I love to talk in Marathi. But English is still something which I really want to, enhance in. And language talks and through your other videos, I think I'll be able to learn much more about English.
That's a compliment to language talks, and you're wonderful. You're doing just.
Thank you. So this artistic process is it's a 3-layer process. I again categorize this 3-layer process in 3 things. That is, one is passion, and it's just like converting a ball of sand into a piece. It's very, very similar to that. So first of all, you have to apply speed. You have to take the raw material and apply speed, and you have to write. You have to write and write and write without analyzing it. So most of the writers, 99% of the writers fail in that because they do not complete their draft. Okay. So you have to write the entire draft first. That is passion gets involved in that. Secondly, we always say that rewriting is writing. Okay. So then you have to make a process on it. Just like any utensil you make. You keep it in you keep that utensil in the side just to let it dry. Just to let it dry. You have to let it dry. That is the second thing, that is process. And third, and the most important thing, is patience. Unless and until your draft, your creativity goes through the furnace of patience, it's not going to come out fine. I think that's very, very important. So passion, process, and patience are the 3 virtues which a writer should definitely possess.
Fantastically explained.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us the process of writing a drama, a play? Because it's a completely different setup.
Yeah. I think among writing a play, writing a film, or writing a song or event, I think writing a play is the most challenging thing because it has multiple limitations to it. Okay. You have to write in a proscenium. You have to write for a proscenium. You have to write in a specific sequence. You have to divide the scenes in a specific sequence. You have to create drama in it. So there are a lot of obligations and restrictions to write a play. While making a cinema, you know that you can definitely create the world. As we say that theater is a make-believe art, and cinema is a very, very what we can say immersive art. You get immersed in the cinematic experience. You get immersed in a theater experience also, but you have to create that experience out of nowhere. You don't have anything such as. I think it's very important, and it's very difficult to write a drama. Okay. It's very difficult to write a drama because it has multiple restrictions, obligations, and mostly it requires genuine craft. You have to write in such a way that you engage a lot of people for a lot of time, and that's really difficult.
You produced and published also an illustrated novel in Marathi called Dhurala. You are a publisher also.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to take some calls which are risky at that time, but understanding the longer race, understanding the longer goal, you have to keep the IP rights with yourself. So out of that longer aim, longer goal, me and my brother decided that we should launch a publication house, and whatever content we are making, which is not a film or not a drama, we should be the IP holders of it, and that's very important because IP is going to be the next important game.
Yes.
So after 10 years, we might make a film on it. We have to have the IP in our hand. So that was one thing, and secondly, I'm not hurt about it or I'm not sad about it, but I got some bitter experiences from the publishing world. And I decided that I don't want to walk on the same path.
Yes.
I want to create a new path. So in Darya, actually, I suffered some losses, but those were learnings which I applied to Adhinin Adha Khwab. And thankfully, we are on the verge that the first edition is totally sold out. And the second will definitely get sold out in couple of days. Yeah, that's when I decided that I don't.
You launched in Marathi vernac language, and you have written the book in Hindi. I mean, how did you teach yourself Hindi?
I think to embrace a new change is very, very important, because I have written around 110 songs in Marathi. So after that, I always thought that I want to write in Hindi. I want to be a Hindi lyricist, because if you see that we all are grown up on Hindi songs. We are grown up on Marathi songs also, but Hindi is basically radio, TV, any medium. We are first, we are a generation which is exposed to Hindi songs very early.
Yes.
and there is a genuine, tremendous urge in me to write a Hindi song. I really like writing it. Last 3-4 years, I made a conscious effort. I attended few mushairas. I met few shayars. I learned a little bit about Urdu. I learned a little bit about Hindi. The dialects of Hindi, like Abdhi, Brij Bhasha, Bhojpuri, the languages which are very, very interesting. They have their own flavor. They have their own vulnerability. They all have their own strength. So I started understanding the languages and their patterns and their phonetics, because I'm a person who loves words, their phonetics, language, and everything. So I think that helped me immensely. And as time progressed, I approached few music directors, out of which Mr. Amit Trivedi was very, very generous enough and kind enough to let me work with him. And that's how I started my Hindi journey, and I wrote songs for Hasin Dilrukh. My second Hindi film is coming in May. It's called Rocket Gang, and it's directed by Bosco Martis. So Bosco sir is a very, very well-known choreographer in Hindi circuit, and he's a multiple national award winner, Filmfare Award winner choreographer. And it is his directorial debut. Yeah.
Congratulations to him and to you also. We look forward to it.
Yes, sure.
There's a clear distinction being made, in urban and rural literature now with the advanced technology and social media. So do you see this line blurring, or do you see this distinction being still made?
No, I think the line is totally blurring. That is because the world now knows that if the content is local, then there is a huge possibility that it will become global. I'll give you an example. There is a small film called Minnala Murli in Malayalam. You can watch it on Netflix. It's a brilliant superhero film.
Okay.
And it's not in the zone of Spider-Man or Superman, or where the world is at stake and half the population is going to be dead.
Okay.
It's basically about a small village, but a superhero in a village tackles a supervillain in the village.
Oh, okay.
And they both are enforced by the same power. One gets the power in a positive way, and one gets the power in a negative.
Oh, okay.
So this is a formula which is brilliant, which is applicable in any language, and which truly makes the local film universal. Okay. So I think in terms of language, in terms of drama, in terms of poetry, in terms of fiction book writing, everything is getting blurred because people are watching Money Heist in Spanish, in like La Casa de Papel. People are watching 5 seasons. People are watching Pushpa in theaters in Maharashtra, the Telugu version also, the Hindi version also. They are liking more and more things which they are not aware of.
Yes.
They want to get into those unknown territories.
Correct.
What happens in your village? What happens in his territory? People really want to know. That what's the world out there? What's the second zone out there which they are totally unaware of? And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, that's a welcome change that is coming about.
So
with that.
And the second underlying change is that people are going towards more and more tier 2, tier 3 cities and villages. If you see the Hindi cinema narrative is changing. If you see that before 5 years or 10 years, the hero used to come from London or from USA. Now the hero lives in Jhansi, Meerut, Kanpur, Pune, Indore. All these cities which are going to be metro cities. They are tier 2 cities. So I think that's a fundamental change which Hindi cinema is also undergoing, because now being desi is the new cool. Being rural is the new cool. So I think that's a very, very welcoming change, and I think it will blur all the lines between a local thing and a global thing. Great. Yeah.
So you've been in this language industry for quite some time. So what is the one thing that you would like to change in this industry?
I think the respect towards writers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very important, because payments, timelines, deadlines, work structures, work ethics, payments, all these things writers are suffering badly. They're suffering badly. And fortunately, I have been with people who are very, very respectful towards me, who are very, very timely in terms of the payments. But I know around 90% of the writers, they don't get paid on time. They don't get proper credit. They don't get proper valuation of their work. So I think that needs to change. Every other roundtable conference, the big producers, directors, and everyone talk about it. But unfortunately, the situation is not changing at the grassroots level or at the mid level. So I think a basic minimum common program has to be there for writers. If you are writing a particular language film, there is a minimum amount of money you should get. There is a minimum amount of royalty you should get. There is a minimum amount of valuation you should get, respect you should get. I think that needs to be done, because it will give a strong entry point to aspiring writers. They will also look forward to writing a film. They will also look forward to write a drama. I think that's very, very important to invite them with such offers that they'll also think that I have to work in this because it's lucrative, it's good, it's motivating, it's inspiring. I think we all have to create such an environment which is very, very inspiring and motivating. So creative freedom and financial stability are two very, very important things which the industry should give writers.
Yes, very important key terms. Yes. Kshitij, can you tell us about your upcoming projects?
Okay, so there are multiple projects which are lined up. So as I mentioned, Rocket Gang is one of them, for which I have written songs. So Rocket Gang, directed by Bosco Martis and music by Amit Trivedi. I have written 3 songs for it. Tomorrow, very, very important assignment of mine is releasing. So it's basically, I have worked with 16 Olympic and Paralympic medal winners. And so for the first time, they are coming together. And I have written a poem, which is called Man Mein Hai Maidan. And they all have shot on the poem. And none other than Mr. Amitabh Bachchan has recited my poem. So that's a special thing. That's a really special thing.
It's really special.
These 2 things. And apart from that, I'm writing Fene sequel. And I'm writing a Hindi untitled feature for Maddox Films.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I wish you all the best. For your
and of course, there are 7 to 8 Marathi films for which I have written lyrics. They are ready for release. So hopefully they'll get released in next year.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
And what are your future plans, Kshitij?
Future plans are, one is to write a novel, which I have been writing for last 5 years. So hopefully I'll complete it this year and I'll publish it. Secondly, I have to direct a play again. I want to direct a play again. After Dawn Special, I haven't directed anything for 5 years. So mostly I'll write. This time I'm thinking of a musical. So hopefully I'll direct a musical play. I want to venture into film directing, but I think that's a totally different ballgame. And you have to shut down on every work, and you have to totally get concentrated on one thing for at least a year. And you have to manage your finances, manage your responsibilities, manage your workload according to that. So that is on the cards, but I'm still, contemplating with the possibility. So there's a constant battle going on between rationality and what we can say intuition. But let's see who wins.
Thank you for joining us today, Kshitij.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lalita. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.